Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for your fearless leader.
You got it, dude.
Let's go.
All right.
And here we go.
Welcome back to the Here We Go podcast. I am your host, Trent Gang. You all know Colin Phillips. Colin, how are we doing today?
Hey, doing well, man. Thanks for having me again.
No problem, dude. No problem. So before we actually dive into the game, I want to talk to you a little bit, get your thoughts on the Ja'Marr Chase suspension, the whole spitting thing. What was your takeaway from that? Yep, we lost Colin already. Here we go. The internet might be kicking back up again. So while Colin's starting to get ready, I think, for my opinion, I don't like that stuff. I know Bill Romanowski used to do that shit a lot back, in the 80s and stuff like that. I just think there's no place for it in the game at this point. I get it. You're in the heat of battle. I know that they were jawing back and forth. I know that he was upset because of the fact that, you saw JPJ, you saw guys, even I think James Pierre was kind of getting in his face and everything, but I just don't think there's any room in the game for spitting in the dude's face. I think that's kind of crazy, but the fine was pretty hefty. So now that you're back, Colin, what did you think about the spitting incident between Ja'Marr Chase and Jalen Ramsey?
I think Ja'Marr Chase has been a total thug for like 3-4 years now. I think that I think Stephen A. Smith said it perfectly. The league simply has to send him a message very soon, just from the standpoint of, listen, we can't. He's been doing shit like this his whole career, not like necessarily like spitting per se, but just kind of like some George Pickens stuff. Like the same stuff that used to make us super mad about George Pickens is the same thing he's doing right now. And it's just like you can't keep getting away with being dirty or just the overall, like the little things that he does. Again, I think Tomlin also said it perfectly. Listen, there's nothing he can say. Yeah, right. There's nothing that he could say that Tomlin can say to Jalen Ramsey other than like, listen, whatever comes natural. If you're going to get fucking spat on, I think it's ridiculous that they ejected Jalen Ramsey for, I don't know, responding to being spat on. But yeah, I don't really have a lot to say other than, I think Jalen Ramsey was right to do what he did, and the NFL should have suspended him more.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like I said, there's just no place in the game for something like that. I get that, like, it's a contact sport and this and that, but okay, so it's a contact sport. Go fucking hit the guy. Like, don't spit on him. Like, dude, quit being a bitch. I don't know what to tell you. Like, spitting on a guy, in my opinion, is like the biggest bitch move that you can possibly do. I don't like it. I think it's stupid. Okay.
Yep.
I don't know. It just, to me, that there's just no room in the game for anything like that. So I didn't like it. It was Ja'Marr Chase basically being a crybaby because the defense was shutting him down all game. So let's get into the game a little bit. Defense played good, dude. Defense looked really good. Well, what did you think about the game?
Yeah, I thought the defense looked really good. I think Keanu Benton stacked 3 or 4 really good weeks in a row now. I thought just from at least first glance that Patrick Queen certainly had a bounce back game, not only from the standpoint of like the obnoxious amount of missed tackles, but just from an overall being the mic on the defense, right? I thought he had a good game. JPJ played well. James Pierre has been a total stud. And then again, Ramsey and Duggar, it's working.
Yeah.
The split field stuff, cover 2 often, I think it's totally working. So if this is the defense they're going to run, keep doing it.
Yeah, I'm telling you what, this defense looks totally reformed at this point. The Jalen Ramsey move to safety, which is crazy. I was asking for that the week before they actually made the move there. And a lot of people thought, hey, you can't take away your best cover corner and move him to safety. Well, actually, you can't, because if you got just terrible safety play, you need somebody over the top that's going to start forcing things back underneath and allowing the. I thought you needed to allow the corners to play a little bit more press man, and we played a nice majority of this game in press man coverage with JPJ and James Pierre and Brandon Eccles, and all three of those guys really, really held up. I mean, that deep shot they took to Jamar, where Pierre gets the PBU on that thing, Ramsey got beat on that actually as the deep man. And Pierre was in position. That length of his came in handy because he was able to get up, get a hand on the ball. His secondary looks totally revamped right now. Now, I don't know if you heard this part, but Mike Tomlin said Darius Slay is going to start this week as long as he clears concussion protocol.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it is such at this point, it's just completely coaching malpractice. I mean, there's really no other way to put it. Like, it's just total coaching malpractice. The defense has clearly been so much better, not just without Slay. And again, I know it could be a casual thing to say, like, oh, defense is automatically better without Slay, because I know we've played different teams and different things like that. But having Slay on an island constantly clearly isn't working to plan. I mean, again, he's 35, guys. He was obviously going to hit an athletic decline. Was last year necessarily a fluke in Philly? Who knows? But this is clearly the year for him where it's like, he's done. And he's hit an athletic decline. He's hit a mental decline. And as we've talked about numerous times on podcast, Trent, he doesn't want to tackle anybody. I mean, granted, he doesn't want to cover anybody, but he sure as hell doesn't want to tackle anybody. Yeah. James Pierre is a physical corner. He's a big body. He's a willing tackler. He's a willing press man coverage corner, and he's been really good at it since Slay got hurt. So I would, I'd keep, James Pierre in the lineup, but maybe that's just me.
I don't think it's just you, buddy, because I'd be right on that train. And I will say this, I was the biggest James Pierre hater probably on the face of the planet. I could not stand that dude. He's been god-awful in coverage, but he has figured something out. And I think the Chargers game really sold me on Pierre. And more specifically, I highlighted a route on Sunday when we did our pregame show. Keenan Allen is still a nice route runner, even though he's an older receiver. He still can run really crisp routes. And when I saw him put his foot in the dirt on the out route and got a PBU on that, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, Darius Slay would have been backing up another 5 yards before he even thought about breaking to the sideline. And that's the thing. That's the difference between a younger guy who, he's 29. It's not like Pierre is like this brand new player in the league. This is his sixth year. He's 29 years old, and he is a more aggressive player. He's longer. He's at this stage, he's more athletic. I just don't see why in the world, when this kid is playing the way that he's playing, you could possibly consider taking him off the field. You're literally just taking him off the field because the name on the back of the jersey says Slay on one and Pierre on the other. Because you ain't doing it based on what the play on the field has shown. I mean, we've seen time and time again. The Colts game. Slay was getting cooked in the Colts game before all that happened. I can't possibly see. I can't see how you replace this guy. I do not see how you take him out.
I'm 100% with you.
So let's talk about the rest of the defense, because you brought up Keanu Benton. I have been somebody who was really critical of him at the beginning of the season too. That kid's figured something out. He's coming on. He's coming on strong. He's got 4.5 sacks at this point. I think is he fourth? I think he's fourth on the team in sacks right now.
I think so. I think it's TJ or Herbig, TJ Highsmith, him.
Yes. Yep. That's crazy for a guy who we thought pass rush was a potential strength of his. It just never quite materialized into sacks. He was getting pressures in years past, but not really finishing. Now he's finishing, and I'll tell you what, he's starting to learn how to work off double teams too. And if that's something that he adds to his bag, he starts to become a a guy who can really start making some big money for himself here in his free agency years. I like what he's been doing. That whole young offense or defensive line, I'm sorry, they've really come a long, long way. I think Y.A. Black's playing really great football right now. Derek Harmon, he continues to get better every single week. And everybody in the fan base got to remember, like, they're seeing production out of Black starting now. They're seeing Keanu Benton's taken a couple of years to get here. Derek Harmon's a couple of games behind Y.A. Black's. He's still finding his footing and trying to get the speed of the game right now. But I'm telling you what, there's three young guys going along with Cam Hayward. It's starting to look really good on the defensive front.
Yeah, I mean, Keanu Benton he is fourth in total pressures as well. Herbig has 36, TJ is 35, Hayward has 28, he has 20, Highsmith has 19, Derek Harmon has 16. I think it really goes down to I remember saying this a few weeks ago as well. Like, it's really just a classic case of like who you are next to matters. Who you're playing surrounded by matters. Now, the last 2 years it was a total shit show with Larry Ogunjobi. The Steelers, they decide, okay, we're going to take the best player, probably the best player available at the 21st pick, and take Derek Harmon. Now, has there been a lot of things that we've kind of been like, he's kind of struggling a little bit. He's really not getting talked about very much as with Derek Harmon, but he's a rookie. It's a tough position to adapt with. But it's so clear that having that, let's just call him for right now, an average player, as opposed to a bottom 10 defensive lineman in the NFL with Larry Ogunjobi, it clearly matters. Now, I think we even talked about it like during the year. It was very much concerning. Listen, Keanu Benton was not playing very well. And I really don't know what specifically changed. Maybe Harmon got better. Maybe they started blitzing more. Maybe Herbig getting more snaps. I don't know. But every metric, both from a PFF and a defensive EPA standpoint, has just shot up in the last 5-6 weeks. Just totally fucking shot up, Trent. Everything. His pass rushing grade has constantly been in the 70s, 2 times in the 80s. 1 time was 86. Run defense has even gotten a lot better. He's making more tackles. He's missing less tackles, which to me was kind of a concern even coming out. It's like, for as big of a physical wrestling background kind of guy, kind of has a weird tackling concern. But he's skyrocketed in every, I don't even want to say metric, but facet, for lack of a better term. Every facet of his game has just skyrocketed over the last 4 or 5 weeks. So I think he's going to earn himself a big contract, and that would be a win for me, as I am the known catalyst of Keanu Benton FC.
You are. You definitely are. What about let's talk about some edge pressures. We talked about some inside pressure. Let's talk about some edge pressure. Dude, Nick Herbig was absolutely unblockable in this game. I mean, I don't understand what the Bengals were trying to do, but leaving him one-on-one most of the game was clearly a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of like, so I guess the Bengals clearly have a lot more trust in Orlando Brown Jr. than like any other human being on the face of the planet it does. And I don't know if that's like a coaching or an organizational malpractice, but they were just leaving Orlando Brown Jr. on an island with Nick Herbig. Now, I will say there's a couple times where Orlando Brown got him because he's a powerful soul, right? He's going to overpower a couple times. But, I mean, if teams just keep leaving Herbig on an island, now we haven't really seen him get the type of double team or chipping rates that, and rightfully so, that teams necessarily give to TJ or sometimes Highsmith. But if teams are just going to keep leaving him on an island, I don't see why you don't just have him play every snap on the defensive side. I mean, clearly we've seen it work with, whether they do like normally, let's just say normal TJ lined up over the right tackle, Herbig over the left, and then Highsmith kind of blitzing from inside or whatever, or even outside Herbig, vice versa. But I don't see why you don't necessarily, I don't see why you probably don't have those three on the field every single play the rest of the season, if you can. Barring Highsmith's health, of course. But yeah, I would love to see more of just a 5 front with, whether you want to rotate Cam, Benton, and Harmon, do whatever you like there. Personally, I'd prefer it to be Cam and Benton just because don't think Harmon's is I guess nifty, for lack of a better term, nifty enough pass rusher. I know you have a
Not
word
yet.
for it that you use. He's just not yet there, which is okay.
Yeah.
Totally fine. That's what we thought about Keanu Benton as well. But I would say I would love to see just 70%, 80% of the defensive snaps. You put Herbig, Highsmith, Watt, Benton, Hayward out on the field, have him rush the passer, occasionally bring Pratchett Queen because that's the best part of his game. And I think from what we've seen, the two safeties in the back end can hold their own. And you put Peyton Wilson on somebody. He's not as great in zone, but he's definitely a lot better of a, in coverage when he's kind of locked onto one guy. But that's what I would do all game, rest of the year. So.
Are you starting to come on board with the fact that you can't take Nick Herbig off the field, whether Alex is healthy or not? Are you still riding your Alex Highsmith train?
I mean, again, I love Highsmith. I love Highsmith, and I won't stop until he probably doesn't get a third contract. But, I mean, yeah. I mean, if you're going to put them both on the same field with TJ and, the interior playing the way they are, I don't see a reason why not.
Yeah. I saw something Derek Bell posted just a little bit ago. Actually, it said that 7 players in the NFL have more rushes of 2.5 seconds or less to create pressure. And Nick Herbig's he's the 8th guy on the list in the entire NFL. And he's probably played a quarter of the snaps of everybody on the list ahead of him, which is insane. I mean, it's just the dude. I mean, if you want to talk about a pass rush specialist, I think he's cleared that motto. I think he's just a true great edge player at this point because he's playing the run very well. I don't know if you've got PFF grades on him right now, but I think he's played really well against the run. I know it was something that was a weak point in his game, but I think he's learned ways to work around his size disparity going against these bigger offensive linemen in the run game, and he's held his own. I don't know how you could take the kid off the field ever, period. I think there's 2 guys I'm going to say they should not be off the field right now. It's Nick Herbig. It is James Pierre. Never thought the second guy would ever be coming out of my mouth. This is the guy you can't take off the field. But clearly something changed because this Cincinnati Bengals offense, they were averaging 33.3 points per game with Joe Flacco. They were the most efficient offense over the last, I think, 3 weeks in the NFL. And they were torching everybody they've played. And this group came in and just shut them down. It was a complete game. I was watching all 22, and I'm like, dude, I'm not watching this twice. Everybody on the field had a great game defensively. I mean, they all played well. Eccles played out of his mind. JPJ played out of his mind. Pierre played out of his mind. Duggar played out of his mind. I mean, you go all the way down the list. And I just felt like this was the first complete game out of our defense that we've seen in I don't know if I've seen a better performance in 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, if the indie game counts, sure. If the indie game counts, I guess that was the most complete performance. But yeah, I mean, it was a really good game. Generate a lot of pressure. I mean, Jamar Chase, he had 10 targets and 2-3 catches.
Three catches,
T. Higgins
30 yards, something like that.
T. Higgins just always finds a way against us. And I was literally sitting at the bar with my buddy Nick, and I was like, dude, it's always fucking T. Higgins. It's always T. Higgins. There's nothing we can do about it. It's just always going to happen. It's like,
first of all, poor Jack Sawyer. Why the fuck is Jack Sawyer running 40 yards with T. Higgins? I mean, he ran 15 yards across and then 25 yards up the sideline with T. Higgins. I'm like, why, of everybody on the field, is this the guy that's trailing in coverage right now? That was actually kind of funny. What do you think about this comment from Pun?
I was actually just going to look into that because I don't know what I think. I can't like disagree, for lack of a better term. I thought he had. Let me think. So Harmon, I thought he had a really good game. I thought he actually had a really good game. Not really good, pretty good game last week against the Chargers.
I agree. I did too.
I think his best game of the year was probably the first game against Cincinnati. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's regressing. Again, I think, and that's the problem with how the NFL is nowadays. It's such a results-based league. Like, you have to be patient with rookies. You do, especially when they're starting right away. Like, what people, he didn't start right away.
Yeah.
He was barely a rotational. I think he only played like 30% of the team's defensive snaps in his rookie year. So that certainly goes into it. And with Harmon just being a starter, I think people are failing to exercise patience at times. But I thought he's put together back-to-back solid weeks. Again, his best game of the year was the first time against Cincy. I mean, if he could just be solid for the remainder of the year, I have absolutely no problem being super confident in him going into next year.
Yeah. I'm going to say this because I think I get where Pun's coming from on this. I really do. I don't think he's regressing. I think what you're actually seeing happen is he's playing okay, but you're seeing progression out of Keanu Benton, which now by comparison makes Harmon look like he's not keeping up. You're seeing progression out of Y.A. Black, which makes Derek Harmon not look like he's keeping up. I think what we're getting is a really, really stout defensive line across three of the guys. And what you're losing right now is that Derek Harmon isn't putting up some of the great statistics. He's not getting the pass rush, which is what a lot of us see when we're watching the games. You see the pass rush. I've thought he's played pretty well against the run, which is kind of why he was brought here is as Colin talked about earlier, the guy he replaced was pretty terrible against the run. So to me, I feel like Derek Harmon is just playing okay. I did highlight him a little bit on Sunday when I was talking about some of the young guys here starting to actually come along. But I think that it's a progression from the other guys, and Derek Harmon isn't keeping pace. But as Colin pointed out, I think it's more due to the fact that he did not start the season. He was injured to start the season, and so far he's just not quite keeping up with the progression that the others are making. He's still going to take the leap, I think, before the end of the season. I think he's going to be fine. I think he's playing fine. He's doing pretty well against the run. Nothing spectacular. So I don't know that Derek Harmon's regressing, in my opinion, at least. Did you have anything else to add to that, Colin? Colin might still be having some internet issues. All right. So we're going to switch gears and go to the offense a little bit. I think a talking point that's going to start circulating here, Aaron Rodgers has not played very well. I don't think that's something that's even debatable at this point. He's still finishing drives. But going between the 20s right now is just not the strength of his game at this point. I just don't think that he's moving this offense forward. We are still one of the highest 3-and-out rated offenses in the league. We have the average. I think we averaged the least amount of plays per possession in the league. We're in the bottom 3 at least. I know that for a fact. I didn't check any of the statistics after this Bengals game. And quite frankly, I didn't think the offense looked a whole lot different when Mason Rudolph came in than when Aaron Rodgers was in. So I just think that's something to probably kind of keep an eye on here. And I'm not saying Mason Rudolph's a better quarterback than what Aaron Rodgers is. I just think that what we're looking at right now is a quarterback who is not moving the ball very well, so that when the backup quarterback comes in, it doesn't look all that different. And that's a problem. I think that's a big problem for us right now. Aaron has got to figure out the whole happy feet in the pocket thing where he just continues to rush himself into some pressures. He's continuing to have issues where I feel like he's seeing ghosts in the pocket right now. He's seeing pressure that's not there. And he's rolling into some of it at times when the pocket's clean. So I think we do have an Aaron Rodgers problem. Colin and I have talked about it a couple of weeks now. Colin saying he did restart his router. Can you hear me okay, Colin? All right. So
I'm just listening.
Okay. I'm not sure how much you were able to catch, how much you weren't able to catch throughout that, but kind of talking about the Aaron Rodgers versus Mason Rudolph type thing. How did you feel between what we'd seen from Aaron and then when you actually saw Mason start to come into this game?
I mean, I didn't necessarily think that like Mason was crazy good or anything like that. I just think Rodgers misses a lot of guys. It just, again, it feels like we're having the same conversation every week. Rodgers misses a lot of guys. I mean, Mason, like just from an EPA per play standpoint, and I think even from a grading standpoint too, Mason played way better. Now, granted, it wasn't necessarily sustainable. Mason had like a 2.9 average depth of target. So the same thing we've been bitching about Rodgers for, but Rodgers was only like 5.5. But I just think that there's far too many times that either Roman Wilson or DK Metcalf, or even a couple of the times I had seen, even Pat Freiermuth were just sometimes just kind of wide open right in the front of their face. Rodgers didn't see him.
Yeah.
And I think the Mason average depth of target thing was kind of a design. I think it was really just like we're in the second half, we have a lead. Let's just throw screens, throw flat routes, throw stuff like that. So I don't know. Maybe it does open up this week with Mason. I think it should, because we're going to play a Chicago team that is really well coached. Granted, their defense isn't that good, but they're still really well coached. And I think they are going to probably put up points, because if anybody could play chess, it's Ben Johnson. But maybe it was by design, maybe it wasn't. We'll see.
Yeah, I think something to point out in this game is that there is no guarantee Aaron's playing. We didn't kind of talk about injuries at the top of this thing. So I think they're saying there's a broken bone in the wrist. It's possible he could play with it. It's going to be probably more about pain tolerance and whether or not they feel like it's worth it to play him in this game to some degree. Do they think they can get a win with Mason Rudolph to give him a week's rest with that and try to let that bone heal a little bit? It's going to be interesting to see how this thing plays out. All reports sound like Aaron's going to want to play. If you listen to Ian Rappaport, Aaron's killed the Bears throughout his career. So a game that's probably motivating to him, because he's going to want to continue to just beat on a team that he's been beating on for 18 years now. It's going to be interesting to see how that whole thing plays out. But we've seen Mason have a little success, but we know what Mason Rudolph is. Let's be honest. He is not a great quarterback. He's not a starting quarterback in this league. You don't want him playing unless you have to have him playing. He's a serviceable backup. That's what he is. And that's basically how they used him. And we found something in the Kenneth Gainwell flat routes, obviously, in that Cincinnati game, and they utilized it. So I do agree with you. I think a lot of that was by design. So can we talk about the Jaylen Warren usage? I know he got hurt in this one, but like, at what point does this team realize he's the best offensive player on the field?
Well, I mean, he kind of did get hurt in this one.
Yeah.
I mean, and Gainwell played really well.
I mean, we've been talking about this almost all season. I mean, he's been getting out snapped by Gainwell all but a couple of games this year so far?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's the same thing we've been talking about with the Nick Herbig thing. Yeah, is he playing better than XYZ? Yes. Is he getting out snapped? Yes. Like, I really don't know what there's to say. I mean, it's just been the same occurrence all year. Like,
it's bizarre. That's the best way I can describe it. It's bizarre.
It is. Gainwell played really well this week.
He did. Yeah, Gainwell definitely played well this week. I mean, he had over 100 yards of total offense, which that's the second time this season he's cleared 100 yards of total offense. He had over 100 yards rushing, obviously, in the Minnesota game. So to see he had, I think it was 81 yards receiving in this alone was kind of crazy. But this is the third week, I think, in a row where Jaylen Warren has not been on the field for a single third down for a guy that has succeeded and excelled in that role throughout his career. To not see a single snap in third down is kind of insane to me. And some of those even were third and shorts. And I'm like, he's your best running back and you don't have him on the field for a third and short. It's one of those coaching malpractice type decisions that I feel like Mike Tomlin lives on every single season. And I just don't understand this. Like, you sign this guy to a new contract to be your feature back, and yet he's somehow not your feature back full time. It's so bizarre and so confusing that I just don't quite understand exactly where they're going with this thing. I'm at some point, I don't know if they're just trying to limit the wear and tear on his body, because he's built pretty solid, but I've always felt like he's just really, really weird. Really weird how the usage is playing out with him right now. Pun's asking, what's your thoughts on Caleb's development and limited snaps? What do you think, Colin? Caleb?
I don't know. It's weird because like it doesn't feel like it's necessarily like calculated when they actually do play him and give him carries. It just feels like one random drive a game. They're just like, just put Caleb in, give him this drive. I don't know. I think he looks fine. Looks average, I guess. I also think that the run blocking scheme is very bad. I think this team has been a bad run blocking team for a while. They are clearly not built to run the ball.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Again, it doesn't feel calculated. It just feels random.
Yeah. And to point this out, also, Pun, he didn't get a single touch or a snap. I don't think he got a snap until Jaylen Warren got hurt. It was after the Jaylen Warren injury that I think he got all of his snaps. He had 5 carries, 15 yards, which is 3 yards a carry, which, I mean, it was better than Kenneth Gainwell. He had 2.7, and Jaylen Warren had 6.2, but let's be honest, 35 of it came in 1 carry. The run blocking is definitely a major problem for this team. It's crazy. We're a team that's come into the season where we wanted to be this rushing offense, and that was going to be kind of our bread and butter, but it's just not materialized. And I'll say this, another thing about Caleb Williams, in my opinion, is, well, yeah, this is probably true as well. Richard, you're probably right on with that. But I think my other thing with Caleb, if you watched his college tape, Caleb got stronger as the game went on. He is a volume runner. He is a guy who does excel with more carries. He gets stronger as games go on. It's just kind of interesting. Yeah, I totally get where you're coming from on that too. Giving him 10 snaps or giving him snaps inside our 10-yard line versus the Chargers. He is a power back. He's a guy that should be able to, against heavier boxes, move the pile a little bit. I don't know if that was the thought process. I don't know if they were just kind of punting on that drive and thought maybe this is a great time to throw him in there and get him a couple carries. But I do think Caleb Johnson is a better player with more touches. He is a volume carry type of guy. It's what he was in college. I think that's something he could grow into in the NFL, but there's clearly a lack of trust from the coaching staff with him still. But it's nice to see they're at least trying to get him on the field at this point, which is they bailed on him just way too many times. I don't know. So another guy I want to talk about a little bit, which Colin actually brought up earlier, was Roman Wilson. I highlighted him on Sunday in the pre-show when Bob and I were going through the War Room film. He's the only receiver getting open right now. He's the only guy who's going to be able to help DK Metcalf at this point. His snaps went up in this one. I had it pulled up earlier. I need to try to pull that back up again. But his snaps actually did increase in this game. And if I can get my charting to pull up real quick. Roman Wilson had 37 snaps as opposed to Calvin Austin's 19 snaps on offense. So you did see his workload pick up. So I think if you're a fan, we all know the wide receiver 2, so to speak, in this offense just has been non-existent most of the year. Roman Wilson does get open. He had a play in this game where I felt like he could have broke one off potentially for a 78-yard touchdown on a shallow crosser. Aaron just didn't throw on the ball. So, Colin, can you hear me? Are you still having internet issues? You got me? All right. So what do you think about Roman and his usage in this game?
I'm just listening. I think it's better that he's out snapping Calvin now. How many targets did he even have? 2?
2 targets. Yeah, that was it.
So, I mean, he's not really getting more usage. He's just playing more snaps, which, again, I guess I'm cool with him getting more snaps. I think he clearly does get open more often than DK. I think we need to find a quarterback who's willing to sit in the – I don't care who it is, but is willing to sit in the pocket and throw the ball downfield. If you combine the 2 quarterbacks that we had in their average depths of target, it would combine for 8.4. So 4.2 average depth of target is just not acceptable. When you – again, and I said it the last numerous weeks, when you have an S-tier deep ball receiver – another receiver who's 5'7" that runs a 4.3 something, another 5'10" receiver who runs a 4.3 something, who thrives on intermediate/deep play action passes, and you don't have a quarterback who's willing to throw the ball all downfield, it's still the same concern. Roman Wilson gets open, and frankly, I know you guys say that Roman was the only guy who gets open on the roster. DK does get open. He does win on routes. It is the truth. But again, he gets completely doubled and bracketed all game because they don't have another receiver, or they don't think that we have another receiver that is even worth paying attention to. And they're going to continue to believe that until we have a quarterback who can throw it downfield to our other receivers.
Yeah, I think so too. I agree with you. And I think that goes back to my point about Aaron Rodgers. He's just not willing to stand in the pocket anymore. He's not willing to take hits. He's trying to dump it off too quickly before. And even I just don't. Roman gets open far too often on the all-22 film for him to have 2 goddamn targets. It's starting to really drive me crazy because he had a shallow crosser in this game where he's wide open, that if he catches it, you had DK Metcalf on the sideline that would have been blocking a corner, and then 1 safety. And that was it. That was the only guy who was going to stop him from scoring. And we don't even look at him on a shallow crosser. Then he has a deep in where he breaks wide the fuck open on that one too. And again, Aaron's not even looking at him. He's already moved off that route before he can come out of his break. And I'm just like, where is the guy who finished the second half of the season last year in New York? Because their offensive line wasn't any better. They were still a pretty putrid offensive line. And I think right now, our pass blocking unit is better than the Jets pass blocking unit from last year. So, like, what changed? What's made him so afraid in the pocket at this point?
He's just gunshy. Doesn't want to get hit.
Yeah.
I get it. And I think a little bit is Arthur Smith too. Kind of maybe not creating more, but adapting more of an offense that is willing to take a lot of checkdowns and short throws. But again, I think it's a Rodgers thing. I mean, again, this is a conversation we have every week, Trent. It's
It's
really
frustrating
just a
to have
Rodgers thing.
every week too. Like, let me ask you this, because I brought this up. So we're trying to go to these 4 wide sets at times, and 2 of the freaking 4 are tight ends. Pat Freiermuth, who is not fast. I love Muth, but when you got him and then Jonnu Smith as well as 2 tight ends on the field in a 4 wide set, what defense is going to be afraid of getting smoked by not 1 but 2 tight ends?
That goes back to my thing that I said earlier in the year, that, dude, this Jonnu thing was just a horrible idea, especially with how good Darnell's been as a pass catcher. But even then, it's just a terrible idea, because you can't have 2 move tight ends in a 4 wide set. Like, you can't be in 10 personnel, but not really, because 2 of them are tight ends. It just can't happen.
Yeah.
It just can't.
And you've got the guys who can take the top off. I mean, you have DK Metcalf with speed. You have Roman Wilson with speed. You have Calvin Austin with
you have
speed.
a quarterback. You have a quarterback who's not willing to do it.
It's so frustrating to me, because I feel like having 2 tight ends on the field
again,
should welcome
totally
the blitz. He has
Johnny's totally useless.
Yes, he does not fit this offense.
Player. No, it was a terrible idea. It was a terrible idea to begin with. It was a terrible idea.
Pat is a better fit in this offense than Jonnu Smith, and Jonnu, up until last week, has consistently outsnapped Pat Freiermuth. I mean, I'm telling you, this coaching staff has been using every goddamn player on the roster in the wrong way. And we finally figured out that Darnell Washington's the best. He might be the second best player on offense right now, because of the way we're not scheming DK open and getting him the hell away from these, shell coverages that he faces every single week. It's not DK's fault, but right now you're seeing Darnell come on and no one else is picking up the slack. But either way, I'm sorry, but Jonnu Smith is hot garbage. And running 2 tight end sets, I mean, you can sit and dime and just run blitzes off the edge, which they haven't done yet. It's just something that's available to them, because there's no fear. If he is, he's doing a bad job of it. I really honestly believe Aaron is running himself into more pressure than what the offensive line is allowing. And I don't know if you guys follow Tommy Jagielnex. Tommy did a great job of pointing this out a little bit. I've tried to put some film out here the last couple of weeks, pointing some of this stuff out. I think Aaron is creating more of the pressure than the offensive line is allowing. It's getting disgusting. But Pun, I hope you're right. The fan in me really, really hopes you're right, that he's playing chess while the rest of us in the fan base are playing checkers, and he's getting enough wins to where he's getting away with it. I don't know if that's actually what's happening. I just think that it's starting to concern me watching all of this kind of unfold at this point, because I don't know. I don't know. It's very, very concerning at this point. So, Colin, let's look ahead a little bit here. We got the Bears coming up. How confident are you in beating the Bears with Aaron Rodgers and without Aaron Rodgers? Can you hear me? I think Colin's still having some internet issues. For me, I actually feel pretty good about beating the Bears with Aaron Rodgers in the lineup. I actually don't feel too bad about beating the Bears without Aaron Rodgers. I think he's going to try. I think the team is going to be what holds him out if they hold him out. I think if he feels at all like he could play, that there's still a bitter hatred of that rivalry kind of in him. What do you think?
Oh, I mean, it's certainly a must-win game. I mean, I feel like the two must-win. I mean, there's multiple. Like the 4 must-win games we have are the game at Cleveland, one against Baltimore, Miami, and Chicago. Do I think that we're not going to? I think we're going to do everything we can to have him play because it's a must-win game. But I wouldn't be upset if it's Mason because I think
with you.
maybe this team does need a QB change. Maybe some of the guys, some of the pass catchers, some of the offensive guys understand that we might need a change at quarterback. I don't know. There's got to be something that we could do to get this offense humming from at least a downfield standpoint. And we're 11 weeks in, guys. Me and Trent have this conversation every week, and God forbid we're probably going to have it every other week for the rest of the year. But it's clear that it's not going to change, and it's going to be a problem all year. We're not going to be able to generate anything downfield. So I agree. The Ravens did put up 30 with the Bears against the Bears with Tyler Huntley at quarterback. Granted, that was also in Baltimore. And also, a little bit earlier in the year. So the weather at Soldier Field didn't necessarily play that big of a factor, even though I don't know that necessarily the weather at Soldier Field is going to play like that big of a factor, just because I think Rodgers and Mason both have adequate zip on the ball. And like, we still have the kicker advantage regardless. Okay. But, and I also think that Caleb played better. Or Caleb's been playing a lot better the last couple weeks than like if you look back to
last 2 weeks.
The Ravens.
For sure.
Something's been clicking with Caleb. I don't know what it is, but something's been clicking. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily. I'm a lot more worried about the defense and how we decide to play chess against Ben Johnson, plus like the ability to contain Caleb from moving the pocket nonstop, than I am about the offense. Because I think the Bears defense is bad.
Yeah, and they were actually a unit that started the year out pretty well, and they've dropped off the map a little bit here. Just gave up 500 something
since
yards.
That Bengals game.
Yeah, as I was saying, that Bengals game, man, they were torched.
It's that Bengals game.
I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like Mason. So we all know Aaron has his guys. He falls in love with these guys. He looks for those guys, and he will avoid people. I feel like that's happening with Roman Wilson right now with him. To be perfectly honest, Mason won't do that. I would be a little interested to see. Again, I don't really want to see Mason Rudolph. I don't think he's a good quarterback. I've never advocated for him. I am a little interested to see, because we talked about this last night on Steelers Sanctuary. The offensive line looked better at pass blocking when Mason was in there. And my point to it was, well, yeah, he stands in the pocket and does not move and then delivers the ball. Sure, they were short check down throws. Sure, but like, we have seen him do the same thing and take shots downfield in years past. I would be interested to see if they would open the downfield shots, because that has always been Mason's strength. If Aaron can't go in this game, that's what I really want to see, to be honest with you. I think we can win this game without Aaron Rodgers. I think it's smart for the organization to sit him, and I think it's worth a look as a fan to see what Mason would do against a very suspect defense, to see if they push the ball downfield.
Yeah, that's fine. I agree with that.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens. What about the AFC North? So we win another game. We gave us a little separation with the Bengals. The Ravens still nipping on our heels a little bit. Are you worried about the Ravens catching us?
So the Ravens still have to play us twice. They still have to play New England, and they still have to play Green Bay. I think that's 3 losses. Now, what's that? What would that put them at? Three losses puts them at, what are they, 5-5? So them at 8 losses. I think we have to find a way to get to 10.
I agree.
We have to. You have to get to 10. 10 is a non-negotiable. I don't know if the Ravens are going to. I don't know if they have the defense, and I just don't think they're healthy enough. And frankly, I thought Harbaugh's had a terrible year just as an NFL head coach. But I don't know if they have the enough to win 10 games. I think they'll finish like 9-8. Right? But if Pittsburgh finishes 9-8, I'm sure Baltimore will find I think it's division or bust with Pittsburgh. I really do. I think it's division or bust. So I don't know how many the Ravens are going to win. The Bengals and Browns are just done. We all know that. We could just totally cross them out of the equation. They're just done.
Yeah. It really wouldn't surprise me.
There's no way that more than one.
I was going to say, it wouldn't surprise me if the Bengals shut down Joe Burrow for the year.
I don't know why they haven't yet, but I also, again, I just think that so if you look at the divisional winners and everything, Denver's going to win the AFC West. They're 9-2. Kansas City's 5-5. They're probably going to make the playoffs. Buffalo and New England are both 100% going to make the playoffs, unless Josh Allen gets hurt or something colossal happens. Right?
Yeah.
So that's 2 playoff teams.
Yeah.
Right. And then you have the Chargers that are probably going to make the playoffs because they're 7-4, 7-3. Yeah, they're 7-3. So, yeah, I mean,
they are
7-4. They're having their bye week this week.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Ravens' schedule right now. They've got the Jets. That's a win. The Bengals twice in a row. I think they split that. The Patriots, probably a loss. And I think the Packers is a loss. I think they got 3 of the last 5 I would have as a loss, which gives them 7 wins. Am I missing one? No.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's totally division or bust. I think this is probably a conversation we could have in 3 weeks from now, how concerned or not concerned we are. Because, I mean, again, both teams have 7 games to go, and anything could happen in those 7 games because we still have to play Buffalo. We still have to go to Detroit. We still have Baltimore twice. We still have Cleveland, which, by the way, we haven't won in Cleveland in 3 years now. And we have Chicago and Miami. Miami's beaten some good teams for some reason, and Chicago's leading the NFC North, the really good NFC North. So I think a lot can happen. I'm not really too sure what to think at this current moment.
I mean, there's a lot of momentum that could swing with this. It's going to be really interesting to see how it ends up playing out with us. How about just briefly, how are you feeling about playoffs with us right now?
I think we'll have to get lucky in who we get in the first round. I really hope we're not the 4 and we have to play at home against Buffalo.
Yeah.
I'd really rather be like the 3, find a way to get the 3 and
draw the Chargers.
There's 4 divisions. I mean, Denver's not. Yeah, I mean, right. Yeah,
you're basically drawing the Chargers. If you
draw the Jaguars, draw the Chargers, draw the Jaguars.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to draw Kansas City.
It's interesting because Buffalo's been such an up and down team this year. They'll pull out a big win, which now is Kansas City. Is it a big win? And then they get
still a big win.
Absolutely smoked by Miami, which was wild. But division game, things happen
too.
Yeah, I agree. Corb on this one. I would definitely take the Jags at home all day long.
I would s- I would say here's the blueprint, Trent. Right, the blueprint would be for, and this is the last thing I'll say, like regarding like playoffs and seeding, because I still think it's too early to tell. Unfortunately, it's not even Thanksgiving. It's really tough because a lot of these, 'cause if you've looked at the schedules at some of the remaining teams that are in the hunt, a lot of these teams have gauntlets moving forward. Not necessarily gauntlets, but also like a lot of 50-50 games, which is the NFL.
Right.
There's a lot of parity, right? But we have to win one of Buffalo and Detroit. We have to win one. We have to beat both of the Bears and the Dolphins. That's a non-negotiable. And we have to win 2 out of the 3, Baltimore, Cleveland. So because that gets us to 11 wins. 11 wins gets us a top 3 seed. I don't think there is going to be 4 divisional winners with more than 10 wins. So I'm still sticking with 11-6. I am. I still think that the Bills have taken bad losses. The Lions clearly aren't invincible, right? So, I mean, or maybe we sweep Baltimore and Cleveland. Maybe but that would be the only option. If we can't win either Buffalo or Detroit, we'd have to sweep Baltimore and beat Cleveland.
Yeah.
So it's 10 wins or bust. I don't care how it happens, but we gotta find a way to win 4.
Would you rather play at New England than Buffalo Dome?
Well, we already played at New England. We could not run the ball. Rodgers had 139 passing yards, and the defense kind of stunk, other than the fact that we had 5 gimmick turnovers. I don't think we're going to get 5 turnovers again, and I think Drake May is playing way better than he was at one point in the year. To be honest with you, at this point, I'd rather play Buffalo.
I would too. I'm not going to lie. Especially
it's at home. It's at home. They have a really bad run defense, so if shit hits the fan, we just pound Warren and Gainwell and Caleb Johnson.
Yes.
Their DB unit isn't great.
No.
They don't have a lot of speed, at least. So we have. If there's anything the Pittsburgh Steelers have, Trent, speed.
Yeah.
And they don't have receivers who can separate one-on-one. They don't have receivers who can separate. They do not.
No.
Frankly, it's painful. Their leading receiver last game was Tyrell Shavers. Does anybody know what year he was drafted or where he went to college? Oh, wait. He wasn't drafted, and he went to a Division II school.
Yeah, their receiving core is a mess. Actually, I mean, Cook is a phenomenal player, but outside of him, I think you can make an argument that we have a better surrounding cast everywhere else around Aaron Rodgers, which is kind of wild. But I think
other than Cook, I would totally agree.
Yeah, Buffalo is not the same Buffalo, in my opinion, that we've seen in years past. That's why New England's leading the division, and that's why Buffalo is kind of on this like up and down roller coaster with their wins. Because I think I counted yesterday. I think they have 3 wins against teams with winning records. The rest of their wins are all against teams with losing records, and one of those wins was the Carolina Panthers. Patriots were the same. I think Patriots had.
Have you seen
2.
one of the?
Yeah, and I think one of their wins was against the Carolina
Patriots
Panthers.
Have the easiest schedule in the NFL.
Yes, no, I totally get it.
The Patriots
I totally get it. But I think our fan base is propping Buffalo up as if they're the same Buffalo we've seen in years past. Josh Allen's a phenomenal player.
I'd rather see neither. Honestly, I'd rather get. Right now, my hope is for LA or the Jaguars at home. That is what I'm absolutely praying for, is to get the Chargers or the Jaguars at home. So,
yeah,
because I don't think if we don't win the division, we don't make the playoffs. Straight up. So,
if we don't win the division, something went really wrong.
My head's at
this point. At least
something almost has went really wrong, Trent.
It's been
Baltimore went from
wrong.
3 games. Baltimore went from 4 games back to 1 game back of us, so I'm not going to get too excited with that one, Trent. I
Yeah,
think
they're
something
in
almost
the
did go
easy
wrong.
part of their schedule. This week finishes the easy part of their schedule. Then they start getting back into the teeth of things, and we'll see if they continue to win with all that. Because the way Lamar Jackson is, that dude is as fragile comes. He could be knocked right back out for the season here at any point in time. He's constantly been getting hurt. So we'll see if they continue on this ride or if they start to fall apart once the Jets week is over. So, all right,
They
man.
have, they have the Jets this week.
They have the Jets. I think the Jets was this week. Yes, yeah. So they're going to get another win.
Jets. That's awesome.
Yeah, they're going to win this week. So that's why for us, at least even as a mental edge, we need to beat the Bears.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. So we'll see how it plays out. But
next Tuesday, you and I are either having some very unfortunate conversations or some very happy ones.
Absolutely.
Because this is probably the biggest. This is probably the most crucial must win of the year. Like, I'm being dead fucking serious. This is probably the most crucial must win of the year. Really, it is for sure the most polarizing game on the schedule right now, just because they're 7-3. We're on the road. We haven't won in Soldier Field in years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, since like the 80s, I think, or the 90s, I saw 93, maybe it was. So, and with Baltimore getting a free win against New York this week, it's literally do or die. So,
yep.
And did I mention we still have to play Buffalo? And did I mention we still have to play Buffalo and Detroit?
Yeah. Hey, I'll say this though: that Buffalo game will tell us where we. That Buffalo game could tell us where we stand in the playoff picture.
It's true.
We'll find out. We'll find out how legit they are. We'll find out how legit we are. That game's going to tell a lot.
Mike Tomlin, what can your defense do for me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hopefully stop the run. That's gonna be key number one right there. Is James Cook can't go off. All right. That's all I actually had for the evening. You got anything else before we head out?
I'm all good. Sorry again about the connection, viewers. I will get that worked on.
No problem, Colin. Well, we appreciate you joining. Everybody in the chat, you guys were fantastic. Again, love all the feedback, all the comments, all the good stuff. If you haven't already, like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff so that you know. There's a little notification bell. You can hit it so you know when me and Colin start to go live. It'll let you know. You can jump in here. And until then, have a great evening.
Just smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave.